for a client of us. Now we get to an internal transformation, which can equally be challenging. So Hari here is actually part of the system, part of the organization itself that is undergoing this challenge. And he's been with this organization for a while. And we would love to hear from him in terms of what's the perspective. And there could be similarities, there could be some differences in terms of his experience versus Deb's experience. Over to you, Hari.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you, thank you for the opportunity to share my experience here. And I'm going to talk about experiences of doing this lead agile DevOps transformation over a period of time with ABB, where I'm working for the last 15 years. And I've been part of this journey. We started this journey, and there are multiple iterations of this journey. I would say that the current iteration is about merging three business units, R&D people, and the whole organization together to build a 900 people organization, and scaling what we have been built up at the base from the different systems that we've been developing. So just to give a quick overview, that is what the context of our discussion. I'm in the middle of this journey. I'm an internal coach. We are having, we are supporting the teams to the transformation across not just the teams. It's about the whole business itself. So I will share you my insights, what I have got from this journey so far. This slide I'm just talking about here is just about an example of a system that I've been involved in developing for the last 8 to 10 years. Obviously, the history of the system goes back to 1990s. So you have some parts of the system that's in market right now in multiple parts of the world, still working from 1990s. So you can imagine the keyword is evolution without obsolescence for our system. So the shelf life of such a distributed control system is about 10 years. So it's unlike most of the systems where you can actually deploy to a customer, and the end users, as you see in the slides, we have about 700,000 plus DCS installations. We are the number one DCS vendor in the world, and this is not just this is one of the systems. We have other flagship systems as well. It's been by far the best or most used system across the world. It is used in power generation plants, both conventional as well as non-conventional plants, and also it has a significant amount of digital development that I do not. I'm not showing it in this specific picture. It has hardware development, it has firmware development, it has software development, it has edge development, it has cloud applications sitting on edge and pulling the data to demand forecast across multiple power plants that is sitting across multiple geographies in the world. So it is pretty much a complex system which is having digital edge development, application development, hardware development for HMI systems, for engineering systems, and for control systems, which involves field devices, controllers, and everything. And we integrate everything together as a system. So we needed to redefine what does it mean to do, DevOps for us. So the typical DevOps, structure that we thought thinking about in an IT application is completely different from an industrial, control system development. So moving forward, can you move the slide forward? Thank you. In one sentence, if you ask me, what is it that we are trying to do here? Is the heading of the slide, we are trying to do a cross-functional product creation in a digital, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. I'm stating this because if you see the right side, the picture that you see there, that is exactly how ABB is structured to develop products. But it has been delivered, structured over a period of time. We have our partners, our channel partners, we have our customers, we have our, we have our, the teams that we develop our production systems. That includes manufacturing, that includes research and development. I belong to the research and I worked for many years in research and development. And then we have marketing and sales. We have project management, which manages the external launches and internal launches of the product. We do not really create specific to specific customers. Obviously, there are some development happens for specific customers, but otherwise, most of these systems and products that we've developed is launched through, for example, Hanover Messe and other events across the world, where we need to do external launches of our systems and products, which is getting used in probably 50, 60 countries in the world at a time. So we have plants that is running in multiple places. We need to support these. We need to service them. We need to support them. We need to do the maintenance of these applications and products and systems that we deliver. We have to manage the portfolio of products, optimize them, look at the technology, look at how it is going to be evolved over a period of time. So we have a portfolio management, product management, portfolio management, which kinds of creates the long-term, short-term, mid-term roadmaps, and we need to realign that based on that roadmaps. We have wherever there is a hardware development that happens, supply chain is extremely important. The components need to be procured for manufacturing. We need to create prototypes for those hardware that we develop. At the same point of time, we also need to look into our compliance. That we live in a regulatory world at sometimes, so we need to look at product certifications. We need to look to health and safety and environment, all the aspects. This is just a one high-level picture. If you go deep into R&D, as Dave mentioned, we have to take care of cybersecurity. We have to look into open source compliance. We need to look into other factors which is not really coming into the play in the development. So we need to take care of dev, security, of ops, as you mentioned. So that part is there within the research and development. So each of these boxes need to be coordinated to be agile. So that is our challenge to create our product development. If you look at historically of organizations or any industrial organizations, we have built organizations in a very complicated way, non-agile way. I would say in a way we have created silos, we have created hierarchies, and if you put in most of the organizations that is in similar to nature, is very pretty complicated in a structural way. And one of the main challenge when you are complicated in a structure in a complicated way for product development, that we cannot react very fast to the customers as much as we want to, we would like to, or as much as the business is expecting to. Because most of the business that you see in the left side of the connection framework, thanks to Dave Snowden, it is most of our businesses right now, our customers are moving from a complex to chaotic environment. The business is chaotic. It's difficult to predict how the business will move. Look at the situation right now we are having. We are having this COVID situation. Nobody really can predict what's going to go next, how the business is going to predict. So essentially, this in this world, we need simple processes to manage this complex environment. But we have a complicated structure that has been built, and there is a lot of push and pull that happens. When you're a coach trying to facilitate this transmission along with our colleagues, our team, we have this issues that comes up because people strongly believe in certain things, which has been worked for the last 40 years for them, and there is no guarantee that, and it's extremely difficult to convince, especially the middle management, about why they need to change, why agile is required, why DevOps is required, what is DevOps in the context of such a environment that we're working with. So this is the challenge that we face. Move on. Can you move on to the next slide? Can you please move on? Yeah, this is a kind of another elaboration of the examples. I've highlighted a few points. We have this R&D organization, which is one block that you see on the bottom, and then we have business, which involves business line managers. We have about 4 divisions and about 20 business lines, and each of these business lines have market segments, and market segment has different needs. And at some times it's extremely difficult for the business line managers to really prioritize. The priorities keep changing, as I mentioned in the Connecting way in the VUCA world right now. Things keep changing, and sometimes it is extremely difficult that for the business lines to really prioritize and get the minimum marketable features. Product management again struggle to really do the prioritization properly. End users are not really involved. As we said, most of the end users have a very slow adoption rate for technology. They do not want to really adopt new technologies because it's mission critical applications. You're talking about power generation plants or water distribution network of cities in the world, or metro under rail systems and everything. You do not want to, once it is fixed and what is working, and no customer would like to change it quite frequently as in a cloud applications or any other applications. Obviously, we have cloud part, but the core part of the system probably need to be shut down if you really need to upgrade something. So there is a significant amount of slow adoption of technology from customers. We have we really do not involve our. We have internal customers. When you look from the R&D angle, we have local business units and hub business units across the world who are our internal customers, whom we need to interact and get validation before we launch our products to the external world. So there are challenges in coordination with them. Within R&D itself, we need to be really. We've been agile. I would say we've started our agile journey at least at this part of this system that I mentioned there. At least in 2009, we had our base set up with common tooling, application lifecycle management tooling using TFS. Now we moved to AssureDevOps, but it is also mindset shift to go everyone into a common agile way of working. So it took a lot of time for us to really set our base right to get the teams to work on a very basic maturity of agile. So it take a lot of time. Obviously, we have this customer support, services support functions who have been kind of not working together with R&D in a close way. So there are a lot of non-involvement there. Forget about HR and IS and other stuff because that is a little bit far away for us to really involve them. So it's a bit of a challenge where we went through over a period of time to get to a common shape or common way of working, involving everyone in the product creation process. Can you move to the next slide, please? So this is just a quick picture of what's the challenges. So we started a program. Obviously, this is not the first program we've been running to create agility in the organization. As I said, I've been here for 15 years. This is probably the fourth or fifth version of the program, and it is moving in a rapid pace. But the reason why we call it as lean product development, not DevOps, not Agile, uh, as it was mentioned by all of us, all of previous speakers, we want to address business, not just R&D. As I mentioned in my previous slides, this lean product development covers all the functions that is involved in the product creation process. So there's one slide kind of explains our whole purpose of our program. If you look at right now, um, every single business unit of ABB right now is measured, or the development or R&D or the product release or product development process is measured. The performance is measured on the common set of metrics that you see there, or common set of targets that we measure there. Obviously, we have automated the whole process of how to measure this, but obviously it is nothing new. Faster time to market. We need to get how we need to really understand how the products are released. Are they released on time? Are we losing market opportunities because of not releasing on time? How much of business that we are losing because of it? Maintain the high product quality because most of the systems that we deliver are high quality, high, I would say, reliability systems where you can't afford to have bad quality of our products. At the same point of time, there is a lot of breathing down on the neck in terms of costing by players who are probably not in the scheme, but we need to keep our cost under check as well. So these are the parameters that is getting measured for everyone. So we need to define this. What is that we are measuring for? What is that we are targeting for? To create the best business value for our customers. One key aspect that we ignore while we doing any transformation, the focus is on technology that we sometimes miss on people, investing on people aspects. So at the same point of time, when we are doing this transformation, the intent is to create the best place to work for everyone involved in this process. As I said, as I said by everyone, Rajat and everyone, culture comes to the last. And culture transformation is the most difficult transformation. First thing that we need to do is to really create the flow, as it was mentioned, I believe, by uh, Akhilesh, that we need to have a really understand what is it that what are the flow blockers for the whole process of business value chain, business streams or value streams that you're talking about there, and how do you remove that? So that's the purpose of visualizing that and understanding what is it that we need to address. At the end of the day, the whole purpose of product development is to create profit for the organization. So we need to, at the end of the day, as an outcome, would be a leading company in the market for creating value to our shareholders by following very simple principles. So that's a pretty basic lean principles that we put in there. Doing things right, doing the right things and doing things right and continuously improve us, and we need to do that. So how did he go? I mean, the next probably obviously the vision is to continuously innovate because, as we said, technology obsolescence is a fact. At the same time, the customers are not ready to do a rapid upgrade. So we need to balance between what we do from the technology upgrade perspective versus how much of agility that we can build in the organization. So this is the purpose in one slide about the lean product development that I do. We have qualified about 36 coaches across the world. In my division, we have about two of them right now. We are driving this initiative. We've been driving this for the last 2.5 years, and we have been getting significant results from what we've been driving so far. We are just the facilitators. It's everyone who is in the system who is doing every job. We are in the we are kind of creating the roadmap or kind of a path clear for them as coaches. Move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, one thing that this is something which is not specific from WebBB. That's something which I've been guiding me personally as far as the organization to some extent is when I do the coaching for the lean agile transformation at the enterprise level. What I believe is that we are trying to do is to look at those um, the, the 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 one that is put in there, the collaborative, the definition of the principles of agile HR development. It's about collaborative networks. What we are fundamentally creating as coaches, as enterprise coaches, is to create collaborative networks of people across boundaries, across products, across systems to work together to create customer value. The next one, obviously, is about transparency. I kind of touched upon the previous slide about measuring everything in a common way across different areas, so that different business lines, so that we have a common measurement system. That's one part of the transparency. Transparency is also about, and this is where DevOps comes into play, as Deb was mentioning. This is extremely important that we invest in tools, in application lifecycle management tools, in other tools, the CI/CD framework, and everything that comes into where we can build transparency for everyone of on the whole chain of business. That at least I have not prepared one single slide in the whole Simply Plus development. At least last 6 months, everything is through dashboards. Everything is live data from the dashboard through our ALM systems, and it is seen by everyone. It is seen by there is no discussion on what is it that uh, um, you know is there any confusion about the decisions. There's no interpretation required. The data is itself is for developing data, as well as the progress of the functions which is outside the technology or R&D is also seen in a transparent way by everyone, including the leadership. So that level of transparency need to be built up in the system so that we can see everything in a very transparent way and the decision making process is very smooth. Adaptability, as I said, there nothing can be fixed for a long term. So what we are right now doing is to have a common program increment planning across this 900 people organization. Now, I wouldn't say I'm talking about the whole of ABB, but I can talk on behalf of this 900 people, division, where the whole organization is going on a common synchronized PA planning of quarterly. So quarterly PA planning, and this in the quarterly PA planning, everyone, including business lines, product management, comes together and gets the priority right for that specific quarter. Unfortunately, all the products and all the systems that we develop within this division is not yet fully aligned from a release perspective. That's the next step, where we are trying to have a market window or release window for everyone to get to a common system. That brings a lot of adaptability for everyone because we don't have this typical project way of thinking, but rather than we are talking about systems and products. And this is highly adaptable because something that you miss in one quarter, you can put it in the next quarter backlog, and still people can adapt that. Obviously, that kinds of builds in a lot of adaptability to everyone. Inspiration and engagement, intrinsic motivation and ambition. I wouldn't say ambition, but the other two is significantly, can be enhanced only when you invest in coaching for both leadership and teams. And this is not just about one or two people doing this coaching, but it is also about building this coaching capability in your, middle leadership, where they can actually do this translation from what is the vision that you have, a leadership, top leadership has to the team. So this is an in progress thing. It is never ending from my experience so far. It is a mountain to climb, but I would say we have got a lot of successes. We have run coaching programs internally for our middle leadership as well as for the scrum masters and product owners. So there is a lot of things that you need to invest in really making this happen for everyone. So that is the journey. Obviously, we need to be ambitious. The market shifts, so we need to be ambitious about our. I mean, as an organization, as an individual, as teams, we need to be really ambitious in what we're going to achieve rather than obligation. So this gives us a framework to really address as a coach, as a DevOps coach or an enterprise agile coach, or my designation is called as a safe coach, but it doesn't matter. It's the same. What you're trying to do is to try to address these people aspects in a significant way. Move on. Can you move on to the next slide? Yeah, this is a tool. Obviously, this is not the only tool that is available, but we need to really know what is the cultural maturity of different teams in the development stream. So what in this transformation journey was that this 900 people organization that I mentioned about, we we kind of built into five development streams. These five development streams are driven by the portfolio. They are aligned to the specific portfolio of technology portfolio, so that we have, say, for example, digital, will go to one stream. We have all the application developing in one stream, and we have this hardware, controllers and firmware in one stream. So we have grouped our streams together, and each of these streams need to have an understanding about what does it mean to be having a what is your culture maturity. And this cultural maturity is the slide is not so important. What is important is the conversation that people are having with the tool and what actions that they would do to improve themselves. So it is not so important that we aggregate this information and do some kind of a maturity assessment of a culture. It doesn't make any sense. From my perspective, what the conversation that happens during the process of this assessment give them insights to improve for each of these teams. So we have to keep giving tools like this to teams as well as streams, development streams, so that they could align themselves to improve in their journey of delivering and achieving the lean product development target that we have set in the beginning. Can you move on? So I'm not going to go to the details of it. They are just examples of some of the tools that we are using at this point of time. I've probably used as well in the journey. Can you move? Next, please. And this is an interesting thing. We need to know where we are also as an organization. When you're trying to assess where do we stand, okay. So so we need to really. I mean, obviously, the next step would be once we know the to some extent where do we can you move back to the previous slide, please? I think we skipped one slide. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, this one. So what we on the left hand side that you see is the lead enterprise self-assessment from Save Photo 6. So when we embarked on this scaling agile journey, maturity of the scaling agile journey, what we did was to train literally everyone in the leadership team, including to a greater extent of middle management, on this. What is it that we are trying to do? What is it? What is the meaning of safe? What is the meaning of scaling? Mind you, this is not just about R&D. This is about all the functions outside R&D as well. We involved operations, we involved supply chain, we involved all the functions outside R&D, all their leadership, and made them to self-assess where do they stand with reference to getting the releases out, getting products out. What is the struggling point for them, including marketing? So let them redefine what does it mean to be, where do they stand with reference to their functions, and where do they want to reach. So it's a kind of a self-assessment based on a series of workshops that we did with all the leadership team. As most of you mentioned, nothing changes without leadership transformation. So the leadership is an extremely important factor. We need to target them to really make this assessment. On the right hand side, what you see is a DASA DevOps assessment for teams. So what I did was this is available freely. I would strongly encourage everyone in this meeting to really look into this framework It's one of the beautiful, most powerful frameworks available right now in the world, where we can actually assess the competency of DevOps in different development teams specifically. So these are examples of some of the maturity assessment that we did to really understand where do we need to go. Can you move to the next slide, please? A few minutes. Yeah.
So Hari, there are some questions. If you want to conclude, we can go into the questions. There are some very interesting questions. So if you want to just sort of
Yeah, very,
conclude in
very.
the next couple of minutes, then it gives us an opportunity
Yeah,
for me to ask you those questions.
sure. Yeah, sure. Can you help me to read out some of those questions? I'm not able to prioritize and read out.
So go ahead. No, no, I will give it to you. If you want to just sort of conclude it, then I'll ask you those questions, if that's okay
Sure,
with you.
sure. So what I
So go ahead.
this is a journey. This is a journey that's ongoing. There are a few threads that I have missed out talking about here, but we need to uh, it's a long process. If anyone says that this is a short, of course, my experience of how it has been, I have put in some reference to some of the frameworks that I have used in some of the missed slides. But what I'm saying is that this is a really amazing journey, and in this journey, you will encounter a lot of hiccups, a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. And you need to invest in yourself, first of all, to be an effective coach in this transformation, to facilitate this transformation across the organization. And you need to develop others in this process also to do this in this journey. And that definitely will be of much use for the organization to achieve the business result that they expect. So with that, I conclude, and I'll probably be able to share this slide offline so that you can go through it offline and ask any questions later on, so that we can clarify offline with through Anand or Akhilesh. Thank you.
So
Thank you
don't
for
don't
your
go
time.
yet. Don't go yet. I have a couple of questions for you based on what you've
Yeah,
already said. Very interesting. I think you spoke about how you coached some of the key people and became a facilitator as well, because there are the core teams that are doing their work, and your role was of a coach. You also spoke about the significance of the culture assessment, and the fact that the assessment in
yeah,
itself is not the end, but the journey, I think, provides you a lot of insights that you can work on. So there are some questions in terms
exactly.
of how did you get the people motivated? So a little bit of that change journey, you did speak about it, but specifically, were there one or two things that you did to sort of get the people motivated enough, energized to accept the change itself and be able to have clarity in terms of what is the value that you're targeting? So how did you go about doing that? A little
In
bit
every
of a how as a perspective. I think some of them are interested.
in a way, this is also, as I said, as people mentioned, this is also a structural shift. you know uh, you know s- Structural shift is something which is mandatory. So you can obviously, you start at the team level, you have some maturity, but without structural shift, nothing's going to change. So what we did in this process of this transformation, one of the steps is to rethink about our structures. As I mentioned a bit, we created 5 value streams, and we have created 101 agile teams. So every and removed
Hmm.
all the people managers. Removed, there is no more people managers, and aligned the teams based on the development stream. As Navarti mentioned, it is about restructuring. That restructuring give them and then held really good people to lead for each of these you know development streams, and significantly invested in coaching for this middle management for this transformation. It took about 7 months to just restructure, get the right people to start playing the role that they're supposed to play. As and 88 role descriptions were shortened to 14 role descriptions. So it was a huge. I mean, it took. It is still ongoing. I wouldn't say it is perfect, but this was a top-down decision to some extent, to restructure, to realign. It was the thinking process lasted about 1.5 years. The execution process started about 7 months to do this transformation. So I was just one part of the journey. It's like this. As a coach, you have a facilitator, and you are just in the middle of these things. You are exposed to certain decisions. You're not exposed to certain decisions. The business strategic decisions,
Hmm.
you probably are not
But I
exposed
think
to
that's
everything. But
very, very interesting. Ve-
yeah, yeah.
Very interesting. You brought out
I
elements
mean,
of culture and structure and how you played the role of a coach to enable that, which is exactly, I think, how Dasa sort of looks at it and really propounds it as well. So thank you very much for highlighting that aspect of it, which is really the practical aspect of, I think, taking an organization and the team, because it's just not about the outcome alone, but but taking the team along in the transformation journey. Before I hand it over to Dimitri, there's one more question, and this is for Deb. If you're there, are you there, Deb?
Yes, Anant.
Okay, so this was actually a question because this comes from more of a project rather than a product. So most of the organizations in the past have had obviously the funding and the budgets to run the system, run as well as your change. And change has typically been one third, and run has been two-thirds from a budgetary perspective. And over a period of time, organizations have tried to swap it. So they have one third on the run and two-thirds on the change. Now with DevOps, there seems to be a lot more optimization on the operations front as a result of all that. So how do you address some of the apprehensions, the insecurities of the operations people, and what is in it for them to accept the DevOps journey is one of the questions.
No, that's a
The
great
support people
question,
of the
and
operations.
yeah, that's a great question, and I will start with a term called full stack, right? Today, people are talking about not a developer, not a tester, not an operation guy. The clients are looking to have everything in a person, right? So if I extrapolate that, we need a full stack. Our systems are all interlinked. DevOps is very tightly interlinked, and nobody should feel insecure, because this is an opportunity, right? It is an opportunity for a tester to learn operations, a operations guy to learn testing, learn automation. So it could not be looked at as anything that you should be insecure. I would rather put it in the other way and take it more positively and say this is something to learn. And I think, to my experience, the clients have embraced it very well, right? The clients have embraced it very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think the key message is each one of us, of course, there is the drive that will be there from an organizational perspective. It's also contingent on each one of us to upskill and cross skill and be in a position, be open to taking up some of these roles as well. Thank you very much, Deb. Very enlightening.